People paying money to see me in a 20-by-20 ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is scheduled for one fall with no time limit. Welcome back. We're here for another edition of the 20-by-20 Ring Crew. I am your co-host, Joe, and I am here with a man who's back from the muggy weather in Jacksonville, Florida. Our friend Matt. Matt, what's going on?
What's going on? I felt like I never left.
It is hot as balls here in the south side of Chicago. Man, we just can't catch a fucking break.
No,
we can't, man.
This is our lives now.
Yesterday, I went out on the porch for literally like 2 minutes. I stepped outside. You know, we got the air on and everything, but I didn't notice till I went outside. It was sunny as shit, but it was a torrential downpour.
Yeah.
For like 15 minutes straight. I don't understand.
Apparently I missed it. I was flying in yesterday, and I saw the puddles. I was like, man, you guys got hit pretty hard. So
it was fucking crazy.
But yeah, it's good to be back. Good to be back, and we got a lot to talk about because it's
Why were you in Jacksonville, Matt?
Oh, no particular reason other than to be live in attendance for a little show called Fight for the Fallen, the third show put on by this little company called All Elite Wrestling. Perhaps you've heard of them?
I think a little bit.
We might have talked about them
just a tad,
a bit. I don't know. Maybe since back in January we were talking. I don't know. Maybe not. This is their third show they put on, and I had an opportunity to score some tickets, and also spend time with some family as well. So it was a win-win for everybody. And I was there. I was there at the show.
Score some tickets or tore some skickets?
I'm not quite sure what we're doing with that yet, but that's Joe's filling me in on something him and his daughter do. So I'm trying to. He's got to bear with me a little bit. I'll get better at it.
It's addictive. You end up wanting to do it with like everything all the time. Although there's one I couldn't say the other day because we were playing Super Smash Brothers on Wii U.
Okay.
And my nephew decided to play as Diddy Kong, and you can't really do that one because it's pretty inappropriate. So
especially with little kids.
With little kids. So well, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, let's get into it here. Episode 72. We're here, and as always, in the background we have wrestling going on. We are currently watching the repackaged Cesaro answering the challenge of one Aleister Black at Extreme Rules 2019. This match was better than most of.
Well, solid.
Yeah, most of what WWE's been putting out there. I was remarking to Matt, Aleister Black's getting this big push, or supposed to be getting this big push. I don't think Cesaro got the memo. Cesaro should have toned it down, and made it a little more of a squash match, I think. But he put the screws to Aleister Black, man. Let me tell you.
I mean, Black still got the win. I guess that's the most important thing. But it's interesting that they chose Cesaro, though, because if they're trying to push Aleister Black, and he's got this whole thing going where he's going to get this crazy push, so you expect him to be doing more squash matches, but you're also repackaging Cesaro, so it just kind of seems to be doing too much at one time.
At one time.
Cesaro should and Aleister Black, their paths probably shouldn't have crossed tonight. or I mean, on that particular night, I should say.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm completely sold on Cesaro just jobbing, just a job.
No, I didn't want him to job.
Right.
But I didn't want him to do that either.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. It just kind of seemed like the wrong opponent for that particular setting at that particular time. Extreme Rules. It took place on July 14th, Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're not really going to talk too much about it, but if you do want to catch it for yourself, you can do that through a subscription via our website, 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network. It's all one word. And check it out. And when you do subscribe as a new subscriber, you could get 30 days absolutely free. So you can watch current stuff, you can watch old stuff, you can
just watch the old stuff, folks.
Yeah. There you have it. I'm watching Extreme Rules for the first time, so I don't really know much about what's going on post the Aleister Black Cesaro match. We see the Street Profits doing a random appearance. They are the current NXT Tag Team Champions.
It felt very random.
It felt okay, so it is that random. I will say this. I mean, can we spoil it here a little bit? What happens at the end?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We do have a new Universal Champion. It is not Baron Corbin. It is Lacey Evans. Oh wait, sorry, I got them mixed up. It's actually Brock Lesnar. Same guy though. Brock Lesnar is the new Universal Champion. He cashed in the Money in the Bank briefcase on Seth Rollins in a 13-second main event match.
Yeah. If you want to call it that.
There you have it. So Brock Lesnar's new champion. This company a few weeks ago, you and I talked about it off air. It seemed like things were potentially like maybe had gone the right way for them. You have enlightened me with some facts that it was not a Paul Heyman show. That particular show, in which they went up 10% in ratings, it was not a Paul Heyman show, but it was rumored to be. But ever since then, that particular show, which, by the way, a lot of you have gone out of your way and tell me, look, WWE is bouncing right back. They're back in the forefront. Look at this great rating they got. And they go back to rely on the same shit that got them in that hole in the first place.
Essentially that's what happened. So, it was announced a couple weeks ago that Paul Heyman was taking over the production team of Raw.
Yeah.
Eric Bischoff was taking over the production team on SmackDown.
Yes.
And that was that. Now, a lot of people who invest their time into WWE immediately just, I guess, decided like, hey, since that has been announced, it's going to happen right away.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the whole reason Raw's rating went up that week. Because they literally announced it a few days before it happened. And so immediately everybody thought that, okay, Heyman, this is Heyman's first show. It wasn't. He was there. I mean, he helped run the show, but it wasn't completely his show yet. I just think it was a lot of people jumping the gun. Eric Bischoff immediately came out and was like, I'm going to be at SmackDown, but I have a lot to learn. I'm not taking over the show just yet.
Right.
So, for those of you who thought Heyman was already running shit, sorry, but that's not the case. And let's face it, guys and girls, this is not the first time something like this has happened. And they have one more hurdle to get through, even though they're going to be running those shows respectively. Everything still has to be run by Vince McMahon at some point. And that's the big X factor now. Yeah. Like, how much is he going to let go? Because according to what's been floating around on the internet, he's starting to realize. Not that he has realized. Mm-hmm. He's starting to realize that maybe their flagship show is a little dated.
Okay.
He's just starting to understand this. He should have been done fucking understood it, you know?
Vince McMahon is the epitome of being filthy rich. It's sometimes all you ever need to be, because, you know, I get it. He created this huge thing and all that stuff in WWE, WWF, whatever. That's fine, but it's not just today to where he's outdated, and it took a lot of losses for him to realize, okay, we got to turn things around. Let's go back 20 plus years to 96, 97. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like he was the one that realized wrestling needs to change. It was other people within the company, within the industry, that were changing, that were evolving. It was Paul Heyman. It was, whether you want to admit to it or not, it was Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
That were revolutionizing the company, the industry. And Vince McMahon wasn't on board with that until he was having his ass handed to him every single week. Then it's a problem. So again, it's not that he's just some old man that's senile and out of touch. The guy's a fucking moron when it comes to change. He's a... If peanut butter and jelly works today, peanut butter and jelly is going to work every single day. You're never going to get tired of it.
Yeah.
He's the same guy that eats pizza every fucking day. You will never get tired of it. It'll never get old. You'll never want something different.
I love how you have supporters out there that are quick to like, oh yeah, ratings are back now. They're coming back.
All it takes is a week for them.
They're coming back to the forefront, but they fail to realize, like, go back and look. Like, this isn't something that, like, I'm not making this up. None of this. Go back and listen to, for one example, listen to Scott Hall tell the story of how he pitched the Razor Ramon gimmick.
Yeah.
And depending on what footage you're viewing or whatever, he'll tell you. He went in there talking like he was trying to be Scarface. But the problem is, Vince McMahon don't know who the fuck Scarface is. Everybody else in the fucking world, by 1990 whatever, knew something about Scarface. He's part of pop culture.
One of the hottest movies from the 80s.
But Vince McMahon doesn't know this. And he fucking loves... He's, oh my god, I love it. This is genius.
It's so
How did
original.
you come up with... Yeah, this is so original. How did you come up with this?
Yeah.
But you get stories like that from other wrestlers other than Scott Hall,
right,
about pitching gimmicks to Vince, and he like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All the while, like, they're just borrowing shit from other places.
Yeah.
If that doesn't tell you anything about this man and how moronic he can be,
Mm.
I don't know what other proof you need.
Again, I mean, I know he's just created this huge phenomenon, but and I'm not going to sit there and attack his integrity because and his success as a businessman, but he didn't build this company from the ground up. He was handed a pretty wealthy company.
He didn't start from scratch.
Yeah. So my point what I was making was, when you're that rich, and you have that much money to play with, you could fuck up a lot more than somebody that's starting up a company. You could fuck up quite a bit, and that's the point. That's the point that I will give to WWE Marks. You're right. WWE is going to be really tough to beat because they are allowed a lot of fucking leniency because they are WWE. They could be bad for a very long time. The problem is today is that you have companies out there like an AEW that are beating the shit out of you, and even though, yes, they have acknowledged the WWE as competition, it's not the same situation as a WCW. they don't give a shit what you're doing. They just want you. They just want themselves to be the best product out there, and that's really tough to beat because now they don't fall into that trap of, okay, whatever WWE does, we have to outdo them. It's just, no, we got to outdo ourselves.
Yeah.
And let WWE dig their own fucking graves or thrive, whatever. Whatever they're doing is what they're doing. And that's a dangerous game because more people are starting to realize, hey, this is a better product. And WWE is just, they keep falling back to the same regurgitated shit. So if he's just now realizing it, that goes to show you how fucking stupid this man really is. And how spineless the people around him are. Because nobody's fucking telling him, hey, Vince, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Because, no, who's going to do that? You're going to be out of a fucking job. And God forbid, you have a fucking spine when it comes to the boss. So you're going to let him do whatever he wants. You know what Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff are? They're like the equivalent of telling the oldest child, hey, you can tell the kids what to do, but guess what? I'm still mom and dad. I'm still the parent. So I overrule you.
For the record, I'm going to go on record here.
Okay.
I'm excited at the prospect of having both Heyman and Bischoff take control. And I'm using air quotes. Obviously,
sure.
you listeners can't see that, but you're right. You're right. They are the older siblings who have been given quote unquote control, but not really.
Right.
That's what for me and now for you for sure. That's what this amounts to. So I'm excited at the prospect, but that's it. Like we can't until something substantial and relevant happens with the product. That's all we can be. Because we don't know how much of this is actually going to be able to be put into place and get Vince's blessing, But I'm excited. I'm excited. I hope they do let those guys kind of run with shit. Because, quite frankly, at this point, there's only one way to go, and it's up.
Yeah.
Like, for all intent and purposes, we're watching, like, WCW 2000 right now.
Yeah.
That's what it feels.
God.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me.
If you don't know how much of a kick in the balls that statement is, 20x20crew.com/podcast/WWE Network, all one word. Check out some shit from 2000 with WCW.
Yeah,
that right there is a kick in the fucking balls. But you know what? It's accurate.
It's abysmal, man. It's abysmal.
And here's the thing. Like, at some point, again, real quick here, because I'm looking at this card and I saw something that really just kind of irked me a bit. The whole idea of what WWE is, I know they're an entertainment company, they're sports entertainment. No. I'm going to correct you again. They are a wrestling company. This is pro wrestling. What they do inside of a 20x20 ring is wrestle. So therefore, the main focus should be on the wrestling. So tell me why, Joe, is the first match on the fucking pre-show Finn Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura. A match that 5 years ago in the New Japan Cup tore the fucking house down. Or a match that 3 years ago on NXT tore the fucking house down. Why is that your fucking pre-show that goes 7.5 minutes?
I don't know. Should have been easily like 20 to 30 minutes.
But Shane McMahon gets 17 fucking minutes.
17. Oh my god.
See what I'm saying here?
Yeah, no, I get it. And now, Finn asked for time off. They don't know how long he's going to be gone, but he quote-unquote needs to recharge. And the way they push Nakamura on Extreme Rules, if you listen, Corey Graves talks about him like he's found his mojo again. Like for all intent and purposes, fucking Stella got her groove back, but it's Shinsuke. I didn't watch the pre-show, so I couldn't tell you whether that's a legitimate statement or not, but I have a sneaking suspicion that that's not the case. I think more or less, Balor underperformed, and that's why he's requesting time off, because he's fucking burnt out.
Yeah.
You can only go through so much of this shit and not need time off.
Right.
Whether it's because of a physical issue or a mental issue.
Mm-hmm.
So
Shinsuke Nakamura. So segue here to the G1 Climax, which is happening right now. It's currently happening. 20x20crew.com/podcast/NJPW. You can get a subscription to NJPW World on us, 30 days free, which means you could watch the entire G1 Climax for nothing. For absolutely nothing. They mentioned Shinsuke Nakamura. Kota Ibushi in his wrestling, he does pay tribute to Shinsuke Nakamura. In the match between Tanahashi and Kenta. I'm not going to tell you who wins, but in that match, Tanahashi wouldn't shake Kenta's hand after the match, and it was mentioned that not quite yet for Kenta, and it took Shinsuke Nakamura 10 years to get the respect of Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Wow.
And this is a guy that, again, like this is... and take Tanahashi out of the mix right now, how we feel about him personally right now.
Okay.
But Nakamura, a guy that went from a company to where you spent 10 years trying to earn somebody's respect.
Yeah.
Especially during a time when he deserved that respect.
Sure.
To a guy that has to refine his mojo on a pre-show. It's fucking disgusting. That to say the least. And I'm glad that Kenta is having the opposite, is dealing with the opposite situation that Shinsuke Nakamura. Although he's not necessarily well perceived in New Japan currently right now. He's not a New Japan alum or original. He did not come up through New Japan. He actually wrestled for the other company out there, Pro Wrestling Noah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he spent some time in the United States. Not the most well-respected Japanese wrestler out there, but he's certainly earning their respect very fast. The G1 Climax, the first 3 shows that I've watched have been absolutely fucking amazing.
Sweet.
Definitely get yourself a subscription. It is. It's worth every single penny. Being an international streaming service, the price will fluctuate a bit. It is 999 yen, which equals to roughly $10. Usually less, somewhere around like $8 or $9. But the best wrestling you can get. Definitely something to watch. The summer of New Japan is going to culminate with this tournament that we've seen, and every single match so far, with the exception of one that involved Toru Yano, go figure, has been an absolute stellar match, potentially match of the year candidates. Every single one of them have been absolutely great. So they're living up to what the G1 is supposed to be. And especially being this all-star cast of wrestlers, it's certainly living up to that. I like again, we always tell you, watch the tag matches because they tell stories. I'm really digging this rivalry right now between the Young Lions and the LA Dojo. That's been really cool to see.
Okay.
There's definitely some bad blood between the two. And you have Katsuyori Shibata on the side just kind of like grinning ear to ear. Because those are his boys, the LA Dojo.
Boys, yeah.
So, definitely a lot of good shit to check out there. But we start off the show, we mentioned AEW Fight for the Fallen. It was their 3rd show, their 2nd in a row that was free. If you haven't watched it, you can go to Bleacher Report Live, get the streaming service, and you can watch it absolutely free. The pre-show, catch on YouTube. The main show, catch on Bleacher Report. But again, I was there, Daly's Place, in Jacksonville, Florida, in the hot heat, humid heats of Jacksonville, Florida. Nice venue. Not necessarily meant for pro wrestling, but it's still pretty cool. And it was... What's interesting is that it's a venue inside of a venue. It's actually inside of the TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, which is
Okay.
a huge fucking arena, by the way.
Yeah.
Home of the Jaguars, for those who don't know. This was a charity show. This was a charity show for victims of gun violence. Because of that kind of show, they definitely toned the violence down a bit. Not that they were a major hardcore company or anything like that, but they definitely toned it back to as far as make sure that there was no steel chairs or anything like that being used, no weapons of any kind. It was a lot of straight wrestling, which was fine. It was a good show. Wasn't my favorite show in the world, but I was happy. Definitely was thrilled to be there, and they put on a really good card. And the next show isn't going to be free. That's going to be happening. It's going to be All Out, and they did announce a major match.
Did they?
They announced a major match, which makes me want to
go to All Out.
Fork over the extra dough. Not that I didn't already want to go.
Right.
The Lucha Brothers. They went. My partner hasn't seen the show, so I'm gonna try this.
No, please.
Okay, so
Please.
I can spoil it.
Spoil it.
All right, Lucha Brothers. They defeated SoCal and Censored, Kazarian and Scorpio Sky.
Right.
That's a great match. Really good match. But they weren't done. So I stand corrected a little bit. I did say no weapons. There was one weapon being used. After the match, they pulled out a ladder and they attacked SoCal and Censored with it. And then they proceeded to climb the ladder and challenged the Young Bucks to see who the best tag team in the world truly is, at All Out in a ladder match.
Oh, man.
So in case you didn't get enough,
Holy shit.
in AEW and AAA, in those two matches for the titles, I don't think this is for a title. I just think this is a straight up out of respect. For respect,
Damn.
ladder match, Lucha Brothers, Young Bucks, one more time, and what potentially could go down as, for me, the rivalry of the year. These four guys have just absolutely killed each other this year. Absolutely great show as far as setting things up for All Out. We did get the official word that Sean Spears is going to face Cody at All Out. That's officially happening. We do know who will be facing best friends in the tag team match at All Out for the first round bye. In what was a 3-way tag team match. It was a Dark Order versus A Boy and His Dinosaur.
I love their names.
Yeah, which is a team of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and a team of Angelico and Jack Evans. They were back. They were kind of disappointing in that match. They didn't do a whole lot to the very end.
Weird.
I'm not quite sure why, but we do know that the Dark Order will now face Best Friends for that first round bye in that tournament. We did get a match that potentially is going to happen at All Out, but hasn't been officially announced. It took place during the Brandy Rhodes and Alley match. Awesome Kong made her presence known, and she made it very clear that she is she's on the side or the payroll of Brandy Rhodes.
Okay.
So she made her presence felt in that match, and afterwards it wasn't enough. They decided to put a beating on Alley, or so they thought, until another Kong came out in the form of Aja Kong.
No shit.
They had a stare down, and that potentially is going to happen in Chicago as well. Aja Kong versus Awesome Kong.
Wow. Student versus teacher.
Hell of a match right there. But yeah, overall, really good card. You had a good 6-man tag team match. We got to see Darby Allin live. Every time I can see Darby Allin live, it's so different seeing him in a bigger venue now compared to seeing him so intimate and upfront and personal. He teamed up with Jimmy Havoc and Joey Janela to take on MJF, Sammy Guevara, and Sean Spears in a 6-man tag match. Of course, you had the Young Bucks versus what's now officially being called the Brotherhood, Cody and Dustin Rhodes. That was the main event.
Okay.
Kenny Omega versus Shima. That was what got me on a plane to Jacksonville. Yeah, man, it was a good card. It was a good card. I said it on going into the show. I kind of wish Jacksonville would step it up as the fan base is concerned, because it just seemed like they were kind of out of it. I don't know if it's because it was an outdoor venue and it's hot.
Gonna say, it could have been the fucking heat. I mean,
so that could be it, but yeah, it kind of felt a little, and maybe that's why I lost points in my eyes, because it felt very tranquil that night. But overall, I mean, this is it, guys. This is the last. This is the last thing. I mean, we got All Out on August 31st, and then we're pretty much set for TNT.
Yeah.
And they announced it. Cody announced it that night. They presented a check for $150,000 to I forget the name of the charity, but for the victims of gun violence. So that was really cool. Congratulations to them for raising that kind of money. And like I said, the next one is All Out. Chris Jericho was there. He made his presence felt. He attacked Adam Page, and then he came out again and ran down the crowd. He called them Jerksonville, and then he later changed it to a little more inappropriate term, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Jackoffville.
Oh,
so there you go, Jacksonville. You are now officially Jackoffville. Because let's not forget, Adam Page versus Chris Jericho for the inaugural title. That's happening on All Out as well. Again, all of that is on August 31st from the Sears Center Arena in Hoffman Estates, Illinois. But yeah, like it's here we are. We're at that point now. We're getting close to the weekly pay-per-view, we're getting closer to the weekly TV show, but there's more to it than that. After they presented the check, Cody said something that I didn't think he was going to do, and it kind of felt very much like an attack, very much similar to what Kenny Omega did on Twitter.
Oh boy.
And I forget the exact words, but he basically said something along the lines. He made the mention about booking something on the same night as a charity show, and that like nothing you do is going to stop what this company is all about.
Sure.
And he said it in a very loud and passionate term, and it very much sounded like his way of kind of putting his middle fingers up to WWE for what they did. Now, we've talked about it on this show before.
Yeah, we have.
I'm not going to get into that again. I don't blame WWE for what they did. Again, if anybody knows how events work, it's not like you book it, the weeks in advance. It's usually months in advance.
Yeah.
You got to book the venue. You got to promote it. You got to sell tickets, all that stuff. So, I get what he's saying there. It does lead you to question, though, to why WWE chose that particular night to do Evolve, the 10th anniversary show, because if you really think about it, and you really go back to Evolve 1, which this is the 10th anniversary.
Sure. Evolve
1 took place in January of 2010. So it really wasn't the 20th anniversary. This is where I kind of agree with the side of AEW, because sure, Evolve had a show, but it's a little weird that you picked this one
to be an anniversary
to be the anniversary show when it really wasn't the anniversary. So that's the one thing where I can say, okay, I see what you're saying there. Regardless, they focused on themselves. They did AEW and they didn't necessarily worry about WWE or the Evolve show, because for those who don't know what we're talking about, we are indeed talking about the Evolve a 131 show that took place on the same night from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. The night we're talking about, July 13th. And that one was the first that one was the first Evolve show ever to be aired on the WWE network. For those who don't know, Evolve is official breeder of WWE now. They have been for a year or two, I want to say.
Yeah, closer to 2 years.
Closer to 2 years, okay. And they went out there and they put on a show at the same time as Fight for the Fallen. Kenny Omega initially had a problem with it, and it very much sounded like Cody had a problem with it too. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
The show went on without a hitch.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, I think more or less, depending on who you look to believe about all this,
Mm-hmm.
if you're an avid supporter of AEW, you're gonna take Cody's side,
Right.
and you're gonna understand it from that point of view. If you're a big WWE fan, you're gonna take Triple H's point of view from him. Like, hey, look, we booked this shit 6 months ago.
Sure.
And he'll use that excuse. There's a really good friend of mine once told me there's always 3 sides to a story: mine, yours, and the truth. So
Right.
that's the way I look at this. There's probably a truth that happens somewhere in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
But they would, let's face it, they as in AEW and Cody Rhodes, they would be fools not to try to take some advantage of what's going on.
Right.
And get as much buzz about their company as possible. What better way to do that than to call out, the WWE?
Yeah, I mean, not only that too. I mean, look, it's pro wrestling. It's Saturday night. People are going to, you're not the only company that exists.
Yeah.
That's just how it's going to be. I mean, let's look at All Out. All Out's happening on August 31st, but
Which
so is
NXT UK.
NXT UK. Yeah, Takeover Cardiff. That's happening. But not only that, but that NXT UK Cardiff show is happening the same day as New Japan Royal Quest. Which is which that one's actually closer in as far as time frame goes, because Cardiff, Wales, and London, England are pretty close in time zone compared to, Chicago.
Right.
So yeah, I mean these things happen.
Yeah,
these things happen, and you have a right to book whenever you want to book. I understand his animosity towards that company, and that right there is deserving, because of how badly they treated him. But Cody's got to realize this: he's won. He's already won, and you're an executive vice president and top wrestler for one of the biggest companies in pro wrestling right now, which is not even a year old, by the way.
Right.
So I mean, let them have this show, and it wasn't even a WWE show.
Right.
It was an Evolve show.
Well.
Well, I mean, it was an Evolve show that took place on the WWE Network that had WWE guys, and as far as that show goes, you and I both watched that. Eventually,
yeah. Again,
2300 Arena in South Philly. That's the old ECW arena. You had a legit gripe, because we're going to go over to that card now. That main event, which was for the NXT Championship, Adam Cole defending against Akira Tozawa. But the match before that was Austin Theory versus JD Drake in a title versus title match, winner take all. Austin Theory, the Evolve champion, JD Drake, the WWN champion. You felt that should have been flipped.
Yeah, you know what it felt like to me? It felt like okay, we're gonna do this whole Evolve thing. We're gonna put you on our network, so we're gonna do it. So they do it, and then it was like, all right, let's get all of the Evolve shit out of the way. That way we can put the kids to bed, and then have our own time.
Right.
And and that's what it felt like. It felt like they. And with no good reason. I guess that's my biggest gripe. There's no good reason as to why they did it.
Right.
They easily could have booked that show differently. They still could have got Johnny Gargano to come out and say thank you to everybody at the end of the match.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially this was like, my fucking belt is more important than your fucking belts. And it's like, really? Come on. This is a fucking Evolve show. It isn't an NXT show. So why couldn't you let them have their complete glory?
Right.
I don't get it. But if you go back, folks, and watch the show, that last match, if you take that as one segment and flip it and have the Austin Theory versus JD Drake match last instead, it still works, and it makes much more sense for an Evolve anniversary show. What better way to end the show than with that raucous ass match where Paul Heyman comes out unannounced, surprises the crowd, you know, all that, and just the way the match ended too. Like, dude, it was a fucking phenomenal match.
Absolutely,
title versus title,
yeah,
way more fucking important than Adam Cole making another title defense. I love Adam Cole.
Yeah.
I love NXT, but
absolutely,
they booked that show wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. By the way, we were talking about it off air. Got bad news for you, my friend. The WWN World Wrestling Network Championship is officially retired.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is,
man.
That was a legit title unification match. The reason why that's bad news, you know, for those who don't know, the WWN is a network. World Wrestling Network is a network of wrestling companies under the name, the banner of WWN. So you have the companies that are included are Evolve, Shine, Full Impact Pro, and American Combat Wrestling, as well as past ones that could come back at some point, like Dragon Gate USA and Chikara, Style Battle, which I would love to see them come back, and Viva La Lucha is another one too. So WWN is, you know, they eventually, back in 2017, they created the WWN Championship. So you're basically like the champion of the entire, you know,
of all those promotions.
This feels like this feels like a WWE move, but I just don't know how much. Like, I know that Evolve is the official breeder of WWE, but I mean, I'm assuming Gabe Sapolsky then he's the guy that's running WWN and decided to pull the plug on WWN title too, because
he had to have at least had some significant say so. Yeah, you know, because
I mean, it just doesn't make sense to touch that that WWN title. But yeah, that's what they did. Wow. And it's officially over. So you will not see the WWN Championship anymore. At least that's the plan. Austin Theory unified the belts. He's still the Evolve champion. And yeah.
That's disheartening.
It is.
I told Matt before we started recording this episode, it's important. It's important that there be two separate titles. Yeah, he can. Sure, Austin Theory can hold both. That's great. I'm behind it. But they should stay separate, or unify them, but somewhere down the line separate them again, because they're the identity away from Evolve should be very important to independent wrestling. Mm-hmm. Because now that title is defunct or unified into the Evolve title, you're more or less opening Pandora's box to WWE kind of buying all those promotions out down the line.
Right.
Or rating their talent to the point where they go defunct completely. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but now it's a real possibility. As to where before it wasn't necessarily like that. So yeah, I'm disheartened.
You knew you and I would find something bad out of this.
I wasn't trying to.
No, I agree. No, I agree though. I agree with everything you said. It is disheartening. You know, the Evolve was a company that, you know, we could rely on for great wrestling. You know, you get 2 shows a month out of them, and just, you know, you see some of the best talent. Not just, you know, you use the term up and coming. Yeah, there's a lot of them are up and coming, but there's a lot of like just legit They're now. They're now. You know,
They are the now.
Back when Zack Sabre Jr. was the Evolve champion, he's not an up and comer. If you don't know who ZSJ was back then, I mean, you don't deserve him now, kind of thing. You know, same thing with Matt Riddle. Same thing with Keith Lee. You know, all these guys were legit talents. You know, Shane Strickland, who I don't even know what he's wrestling under anymore in NXT.
NXT, he is Isaiah Young, I think.
Isaiah Young. Okay.
Something to that effect.
Cool. Good for him. But I was actually pleasantly surprised that they kept it, for the most part, an Evolve show and kept Evolve storylines.
I was just as surprised as you are, because I know you and I had that talk, and we were up and we were very debated about it. Like, shit, like what exactly are we going to get to see, and what are we not going to get to see? But no, they let pretty much everything we got to see.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about AR Fox not even being on the show probably. That was wrong. He
was there and won gold.
Him and Leon Ruff with the Skulk. They defeated the Unwanted, Eddie Kingston and Joe Gacy, tag team match. It's cool to see Eddie Kingston in Evolve, by the way.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be good, especially for guys like Sean Maluda.
I love his promo work.
Oh yeah. Very believable guy too. Very believable guy. Not too familiar with Joe Gacy, but his partner Joe Gacy has definitely impressed me from what I've seen with them in the tag team match. I never know what to make out of Colby Carino, but maybe this is finally what's going to be for him. I don't really think so. He had a match against Babatunde on that card. They're unwanted, have a beef with Babatunde. Babatunde obviously destroys Colby Carino in like 3 minutes. But yeah, overall, it was cool. It was cool to see Matt Riddle and Drew Gulak.
That was very cool to see.
See them go at it again. Everything leading to you're right. The for me, I was checked out after the Theory and Drake match. So it wasn't just let the Evolve guys be the Evolve guys. That was the better match.
It was the better match.
That was the better match, and Adam Cole and Akira Tozawa, with all due respect, because I feel that Adam Cole still potentially has match of the year with his matches with Johnny Gargano.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
That match with him and Tozawa was too random.
It was no, it was just another title defense.
And let's face facts here. This one right here, this was the equivalent of the NXT Championship being defended at a house show. Adam Cole's not losing this title.
Right.
So there's nothing on the line for me as a fan. Adam Cole's going to retain, whether it's going to be clean or by some bullshit disqualification finish. He's retaining that title. He's not leaving Philadelphia without that belt.
And that's to further my point. There you go. The match was useless.
Yeah.
It should. You know what it should have been? It should have been like they did months ago, where they would have your NXT guy on the show, but it was a dark match.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't allow it on an Evolve show.
Right.
On an Evolve streaming.
Right.
So that's what they should have did. They should have kept it that way.
Kept it that way or flip it.
And just let them have their fucking show.
Mm-hmm.
What's so wrong about that? Jesus.
I mean, it is Evolve's 10th anniversary show.
God forbid someone else have some fucking shine and limelight for a change, Well,
especially a company that you're trying to promote.
Yeah.
This is the reason why they're on the network, because they're an official breeder, and you want people to pay attention to them. They're NXT. So NXT is like supposed to be the show you go to before WWE. Well, Evolve is now the place to go to before you go to NXT.
NXT, right?
And that's fine. I would feel more comfortable if it was just another. So NXT is AAA. Evolve is AA. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Those are baseball terms for those who don't know. I'm okay with that if that's the case. You're letting them keep their talent for the most part. You're not rating them, because you made a very good point. You can't rate them too much because you don't want to go too young too soon. You have to have established guys on that roster.
Yeah, because even if they did go like mostly young and green talent,
mm-hmm.
That's still okay in this situation, but only to a certain extent, because let's face it, what if you do that and you go that route, what do you have left to do to the roster? You're kind of forced to bring in guys from the main roster or NXT
Right.
and keep having them on shows to work with those younger guys.
Right.
I don't necessarily think that's a great idea. I think you have to have a more established roster to be remotely pulling shit like that, because otherwise it's not going to work.
You also lose the specialness of having that too. You know, the specialness of having, Kyle O'Reilly come to Evolve and challenge Austin Theory for the title.
Yeah, I love that they do that. You and I, the moment we started hearing about those dream matches.
Yeah.
Velveteen Dream, they just wouldn't air it. It's like you had to be there.
But now they do.
And now they do.
Now they do air it, which is fine. But it just if it had they shouldn't do it every show.
No, they shouldn't.
They shouldn't do it every show, and that's where I think they would drop the ball if they keep doing that, because then they rely too much on that, But not only that, but when you do have, if you are going to spare your talent, for the love of God, every once in a while, let the fucking Evolve guys get over. Because if you don't, then you've done nothing to establish that talent.
Yeah.
But anyways, Evolve 131 overall solid show.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely I watched Evolve 132. That was another good show. It was really cool to see Matt Riddle back for the weekend. They definitely a guy that is missed from that company.
Yeah, man.
It's been almost a year since he left officially.
Already.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So but yeah, he's it's cool. It's cool to see. It's cool to see. It's cool that they did it. Evolve 131 is only on the WWE Network. It is not on WWN Live.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did not allow them to air it on their streaming service. Ain't that something? You can't air your own product on your streaming service. The streaming service that we are talking about, of course, is WWN Live. For $9.99 a month, $10 a month. You can get access to everything that is under the WWN banner. But if you are just looking to check out WWN shows to see if maybe they haven't earned your $10 quite yet, that's fine. You can actually go to our website at 20x20crew.com/podcast/fight, that's FITE, and you can watch individual events. And if you are a new member, you can actually check out an individual event for free, because they charge $10 to $15. And when you subscribe through our website, again, 20x20crew.com/podcast/FITE, we're going to give you $15 of credits that you can use, so you can actually check out an Evolve show, a Shine show, FIP.
There's a lot of those shows that are like $10.
Yeah.
So you could easily at least watch a show and still have money left over from the credit.
Yeah. So and of course, again, there's a great amount of free shows you can catch every single week. Reality of Wrestling, Champion Wrestling from Hollywood, ROH Wrestling, MLW Fusion, Championship Wrestling from Arizona.
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain Pro is on there. So something to watch for free. Check out, good up and coming talent, regional companies, or for Ring of Honor and MLW, of course, they're much bigger than just regional companies. But yeah, there's a plethora to watch, man. So it was a busy weekend.
Absolutely,
definitely a busy weekend, and we're going to take a quick time out and halfway pay attention to this New Day match that's about to happen. Pay some bills. We'll be right back. This episode of the 20x20 Ring Crew has been brought to you by Podcoin. Joe, if you're anything like me, you love podcasts, but wouldn't it be better if you got paid while doing it?
Absolutely. Fellas, ladies, children of all ages, you can now be paid to listen to us, the 20x20 Ring Crew. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Sit there, enjoy Matt and I go back and forth about professional wrestling all day, all night. Now, it's not straight out cash. You'll get paid in pod coins, but you can change those pod coins in for stuff like gift cards to Starbucks, Target, Best Buy, what have you.
Etc. Or if you're anything not like me, you can donate those pod coins to charity.
Which is, I mean, that's always a good thing.
Absolutely. So all you got to do is visit us at 20x20crew.com/podcast/podcoin. I know it's a little bit of a tongue twister.
It is.
Again, that's 20x20crew.com/podcast/podcoin.
And don't forget, use the invite code 20x20pod when you sign up for the Podcoin app. It's going to give you 300 free coins right off the bat the moment you sign up for free.
And Podcoin is available for both iOS and Android.
And you get to listen to not just us, but a plethora of podcasts at your leisure. And the more you listen, the more money you make. It's that simple, folks. 20x20crew.com/podcast/podcoin. Get yourself signed up today. Remember, invite code 20x20pod for 300 free coins. And as always, we will
see you in the ring.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you again for hanging in there with us and supporting our sponsors. Once again, thanks to all of you brand new subscribers over there on Podcoin. We truly appreciate all of the listening.
Yes, thank you.
It's been a blast, and Matt and I are going to do something we haven't done in quite some time since November.
Yeah.
We are going to hold another fantasy tournament. This is something we've been talking about doing for quite some time. We both of us have been fans of the King of the Ring event over the years, good, bad, or ugly. And obviously our podcast to pay a little homage to one Stone Cold Steve Austin. So yeah, we are having our first ever King of the Ring tournament, and we're going to call it the King of Kings, because essentially that's what we're doing. We're taking all the past King of the Ring winners, throwing them in a tournament, and we're going to discuss to see who's best, who is the proverbial King of Kings.
There's King of the Ring, for those who don't know, debuted in 1985. Something that took place throughout the remainder of the 80s. It would come back again in 1991 after taking a hiatus in 1990. And after 91, it took another hiatus, but then became a pay-per-view starting in 1993. And that pay-per-view went from 1993 all the way until 2002. So, 10 shows, right, in a row, pay-per-views. And then ever since then, it was kind of like a sporadic whenever they felt like doing it. They did it in 2006, 2008, 2010, and the most recent King of the Ring took place in 2015. So it's definitely been a few years, but King of the Ring, yeah, it was definitely a fun tournament. I'm a huge fan of tournaments, and I think it's proper too that we do a tournament during a time when we get to watch a current tournament, the G1 Climax. It's happening right now. Tournaments are fun. They're definitely fun, and these were for the most part designed to kind of help get somebody over, somebody like a breakout guy over, and for the most part it did its job. So I'm excited to look back and kind of do some fantasy booking here in the span of a tournament. So yeah, absolutely.
So we have 19 guys to look at. We're gonna drop 3 right off the bat.
Yeah, because there was 20 winners.
Yeah, there's 20.
Somebody won it twice, so that's already one. Because you want an even 16.
Yeah, you want an even 16.
Right.
So we're gonna drop 3 guys right off the bat. Do you have any thoughts on this? I could tell you one right off the bat that I don't want in it.
Okay.
And that would be King Mabel.
Yeah, Mabel was my first guy off.
All right.
the third guy of the NWO, according to Dave Meltzer.
According to Dave Meltzer. Yeah, Mabel. Don't get me wrong. Like, I get why he worked for the company. He was an attraction.
Yeah.
You don't get a guy that big who can move well that often.
Right.
And not that he was he was no Bam Bam Bigelow, but he was pretty agile for his size.
Mm-hmm.
Big 400+ pound guy. But for me, growing up as a kid, like, just something just always seemed to get lost in translation for me and Mabel.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, so I have 3 guys already.
Oh, do you?
That I would take
Okay.
off.
All right.
And Mabel was the first guy from the list. And the reason why I take these guys off, because out of the 19 guys, they were the least relevant when it came to winning the actual tournament.
Okay.
And maybe I agree. Mabel for sure. I mean, I get it. He main evented SummerSlam that year because at the time they tried to do the whole Royal Rumble WrestleMania thing with King of the Ring and SummerSlam, and it led to a very bad SummerSlam main event.
It was terrible.
Yeah. So I mean, it just Mabel for sure. All due respect to him, it just doesn't really do it for me at all. That was the first guy going, as far as numerically goes. Yes. That was the first guy. So he won the King of the Ring tournament in 1995. So 95 is gone. For me, I'm going to stay in the 90s. I'm going to go 1999, and I would take off Billy Gunn.
Okay.
Billy Gunn, they were really trying to push as a singles wrestler in the 90s. They say they're Road Dogg too. For me, none of those guys worked individually. Billy Gunn definitely had more wrestling ability than Road Dogg, especially at that point in his career. But it never really transferred over to legit singles competitor. I get he had a big SummerSlam match against The Rock, but it was a gimmicky match, the kiss my ass match. I mean, at no point do and he had runs as the Intercontinental Champion, all that stuff. But at no point did I see Billy Gunn as like a legit contender in comparison to past or future King of the Ring members, most future and past King of the Ring winners.
What do you think, when it comes to Billy Gunn, what do you think was his biggest downfall as to why his push didn't work?
A lot of it initially wasn't his fault because he was one half of the New Age Outlaws. He was a member of D-Generation X, but because of that, because of all those years as a tag team specialist, his in-ring work as a singles competitor just never really transferred over, and there is a difference. Okay. And we've seen guys not have successful. Yeah. Individual careers. Yeah, it happens. But have been hell of a tag team specialists. I'm not saying that was the case, but for me, that was the case. Okay. But who would your second guy be?
Well, Billy Gunn was part of my 3.
Okay, so we're agreeing with Billy Gunn.
Unanimous, yeah. Billy Gunn's gone.
So Mabel and Billy Gunn are gone.
It's just because I've never liked him at all.
Okay.
Under any circumstance.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
Yeah. My third guy is Brock Lesnar.
Okay. That's not who I thought you were going to go with, but okay.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't stand Brock Lesnar. I never was a big Brock Lesnar fan.
Mm-hmm. Not even 2002 Brock Lesnar.
No.
Because he's dominating the WWE.
Yeah, no,
I
get it. Like, he was legit to what they were doing, but
and at least showing up at that point.
Yeah, but no, he's one of those big guys. Like, he just never did it for me.
Okay,
so that would be my pick for the third one.
So mine's actually not in the 2000s. Mine's actually in the 2010s era, and that is the 2015 and Bad News Barrett.
Bad News Barrett, huh?
I love Wade Barrett, or the Bad News gimmick. I loved it. His downfall, and he'd be the first one to tell you if he was sitting here right now with us, he couldn't stay healthy. And
that was a big problem with him.
He just I'll never forget the time where he dislocated his shoulder and took that arm where the same dislocated shoulder and just slammed it against the floor and just being pissed off.
I remember that.
And
That was pretty fucking disgusting to watch.
Because it was like fucking again. And that's the reason why I hate Brock Lesnar too. I was never a fan. And I liked Wade Barrett. I thought this guy had everything to be a future star in the business. And whether it was WWE or somewhere else, he just couldn't stay healthy. And again, like my thinking, my thought process was take somebody that offers nothing to the table, as little to the table. And for me, him winning in 2015 was so forgetful because he just didn't accomplish anything.
Okay.
Because again, the injuries added up, and he just at that point they were really trying to do anything to get this guy over, and it was not going to work because his body was just not going to allow him to do it. So that's my thing. So I mean, we're kind of at a standstill here. I'm okay with either guy, really. I could see either guy go.
You know what? You sold me. We're gonna go with Bad News Barrett.
We're gonna keep Lesnar in there.
Yeah, we're gonna keep Lesnar in there.
You know, by saying that, Lesnar might win this whole damn thing.
No, he's not gonna win.
Over my dead body, he's gonna win.
Kayfabe has been broken, folks.
You know, so one guy is like, God damn it, I had money on this.
It was the guy that brought the fucking John Cena Kazuchika Okada poster to Dallas. So
whoever did that, you can thank that guy for the reason why Kazuchika Okada will never come back to Texas. All right, so there you have it. We have 16 guys.
Yeah, we have our Sweet 16 already.
Do you want to do the honors?
So our Sweet 16 is as follows, in no particular order, mind you.
Okay.
Sheamus, Don the Rock Morocco, King Harley Race, William Regal, Randy the Macho Man Savage, Booker T, Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, Brock Lesnar, Tito Santana, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Edge, Kurt Angle, Ken Shamrock, Triple H, and of course Stone Cold Steve Austin. There's your initial 16 in our fantasy tournament King of Kings as we watch Kevin Owens verbally obliterate Shane McMahon on SmackDown Live from this past Tuesday. We just got done watching Extreme Rules, we're still watching Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
Sorry. It feels like we should be done watching Extreme Rules.
Time flies when you're not paying attention, like I said earlier.
Yeah, we were watching WWE Extreme Rules 2019, half-ass paying attention to it. But,
he has Vladimir Kozlov. He has the bull, remember from...
Yeah. Like, literally, anybody but Shane McMahon. For those of you... So for those of you who are not understanding what we're talking about, during Extreme Rules, Kevin Owens on SmackDown previous to this cut a promo on Shane McMahon stating like, hey, there are a plethora of guys on our roster who could easily be taking the time, your screen time.
Right.
You know, where instead of you fighting all the fucking time or having all this camera time, and it sucks. Like, the fans don't want it, we don't want it, everybody's frustrated. Like, please stop wrestling. So Dolph Ziggler got on social media and was like, pretty much like, I'll accept your challenge. So, added to Extreme Rules, we have Kevin Owens versus Dolph Ziggler. Spoiler alert, the match is already almost over.
Yeah. The official time was 17 seconds.
Yeah, 17 seconds. So
it barely beats Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. By 4 seconds.
Man, talk about a fucking faux pas, man. You got two matches during the night that are less than a fucking minute. That's horrible. And this one, like, out of both of them, you're like, damn, like, this has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I want to see Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. Let them go. Anyways, but
back to what we're doing.
Back to the King of Kings tournament.
So there you have your initial 16. And what we're going to do this time, which is something different than we did for our Survivor Series tournament back in November, which you can catch all of those episodes on our website over at 20x20crew.com. But with the King of Kings tournament, what we're going to do is we're going to run these 16 guys through a randomizer, courtesy of random.org, where literally everybody that uses the internet goes for random numbers. And with that said, I'm going to pull it up now, and we run the numbers 1 through 16 through the random sequence generator, and we come up with our brackets.
Okay.
All right. So, the first matchup is going to be, drum roll please, Booker T versus Triple H.
Come on. You set that one up.
I did not.
You set that one up.
It came out just as is.
Booker T versus Triple H.
Booker T versus Triple H.
Now before we, I don't remember if you said it now. Before we said things, before we do anything else, though, because that's an intriguing match all on its own. But just like in the Survivor Series tournament we did, we're going based off of the year in which they won.
Exactly. So there's one definitive winner per year.
Right.
All right.
So yeah. So we're talking
1997
Triple H
against 2006 Booker T.
Okay.
All right.
There you have
it. Our second match for the King of Kings tournament is Sheamus from 2010 taking on 2001's Edge.
Interesting match, okay.
Yeah, right? Sounds interesting. Our third match is the legendary Blue Blazer himself, Owen Hart from 1994, taking on 1988's winner, Ted DiBiase. Our next match in this tournament is going to be Don the Rock Morocco from 1985. He will be taking on the one and only King Harley Race from 1986.
I'm intrigued by that one.
Yeah, so am I. Especially since Harley wanted to do the King gimmick because of this.
Yeah. Like,
that was the whole reason he became King Harley Race. He wanted to just keep rubbing it in people's faces. Our next match, the fifth match in our tournament, is going to be 2008's winner, William Regal, taking on 2000's winner, Kurt Angle.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
That's a wrestling match, ladies and gentlemen.
See, even the random.org knows. With the sixth match in the King of Kings tournament, you have the 1996 winner, Stone Cold Steve Austin, taking on, holy shit, it's a repeat of WrestleMania in 1991's Bret Hart. Wow.
There you have it, man. That's so intriguing because that's a different Bret Hart that he faced.
Yeah, it is a different Bret Hart. That'll be definitely interesting.
I'm intrigued by that one.
Match number 7 is going to be my favorite person, Brock Lesnar.
AKA the winner of this tournament.
Please no.
Is that a spoiler? As Paul Heyman would say.
Taking on 1998's winner.
No shit.
Ken Shamrock.
That's who I wanted to see him fight. That's that one right there.
Well, random.org is reading your mind. And with our final match in the King of Kings fantasy tournament here, we have the the 1987 winner in Randy the Macho Man Savage, taking on Tito Santana from 1989. And there you have it. Those are our brackets.
Any match stands out to you right now?
Man, dude, I'm excited at Angle and Regal. That's for damn sure. I legitimately hate Brock Lesnar. If you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you know me, I legitimately don't hate a lot of things in this world because hate's such a strong word.
It is.
I can't. I just no. Me and Brock Lesnar, I can't. I'm telling you right now, my vote is for him to lose.
Well, that's a spoiler for next week's episode. So what we're going to do in the upcoming weeks, we're going to fantasy book this tournament.
Absolutely.
You guys are going to tune in like you always do, and thank you so much for doing that. By the way,
thank you.
You're going to hear us talk about what's going on in the wrestling world, and then to top it all off, we're going to get closer and closer to the King of Kings tournament winner throughout the upcoming weeks. I'm excited. The first round alone already has
hell yeah, dude,
a good amount of really interesting matches. Again, Stone Cold versus a younger
Bret Hart. Yeah,
definitely something that would be extremely interesting. Booker T versus his nemesis in Triple H, but a younger Triple H.
A younger Triple H. Right?
Does Booker T get buried this time around? What do I mean by that? I don't know. As we mentioned, Joe mentioned earlier, of course, we got Kurt Angle versus William Regal. Easily your two best mat wrestlers in this tournament. You know, Brock Lesnar versus Ken Shamrock. I get this is pre-MMA Brock Lesnar, but this is a younger Brock Lesnar versus a Ken Shamrock that was on his game in 1998. Definitely a guy that should have been world champion someday. Yeah. And that's his fault. Why he's not.
Well, yeah, it is. It is his fault.
As well as so much more on this card. I'm excited. I'm really excited to break this down. But you got to give me time to go through and
absolutely,
predict this, so.
Absolutely. At least we got our bracket set. Again, once again, thank you to random.org for the random sequence generator. Please take the time and go visit random.org and for all your random needs.
And while you're at it, write down these brackets. Who you got? Who is your king?
Absolutely.
Of Kings
We're
champion?
gonna post them on social media.
Yes.
We'll clue all you guys in, and please let us know. Let us know your thoughts and
yell at us for taking the wrong guys out of the tournament. But there's gotta be some Mabel fan out there.
Oh man, I'm sure there is. I'm like probably gonna hear it.
He's gonna be mad at you.
Yeah, right. But ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for the show this week. We wanted to kind of keep it short and simple. Yeah. We got a lot of fantasy booking to do and very little time to do it.
Yeah.
So once again, we just booked our opening round of the King of Kings tournament, which we're gonna fantasy book for the next couple weeks here. Please don't forget to tune in for that. You can find us as we see Kofi Kingston throw pancakes to the crowd. You can find us on the interwebs there. 20x20crew.com is our home on the web where you can find all of our past episodes, including our Soul Survivor tournament that we fantasy booked back in November, which was super fun to do.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, we're going to post the King of Kings brackets on social media. You can catch them on Instagram, instagram.com/20x20crew, twitter.com/20x20crew, where you can also hate tweet us about why Mabel should be in this fucking tournament. We're available on Facebook, facebook.com/20x20crew is our official Facebook page. But if you want to sit and talk wrestling with Matt and I, please visit facebook.com/groups/20x20talk, which the brackets will also be posted there as well. We are on YouTube, where we normally do all of our fantasy booking. We're making an exception this time to cater to all you lovely fans over on Podcoin. Thank you again, Podcoin, for having us and helping us grow. But we're available on YouTube, where we host the following contest, which is where Matt and I fantasy book usually. You can find more information in previous following contest episodes over on our YouTube channel, 20x20crew.com/podcasts/YouTube will get you there. And please, any question, comments, or concerns about King of Kings or otherwise, please come holler at us through email, 20x20crew@gmail.com for the time being. And I think that's about it, right? Did I miss anything?
No, just want to give a special thanks to, again, our sponsors every week for taking care of us. 20x20crew.com/podcast/GameStop/Raise/Brown Paper Tickets for all your needs for gaming, for tickets, for gift cards. You can check us out on our website. Again, 20x20crew.com is our source for all of that. Thanks again for everybody that has tuned in. I want to send my thanks to Podcoin for just the opportunity to put ourselves out there.
Thank you, guys.
Such a great platform. So appreciative of that opportunity. Thanks for all the new listeners. Thanks for all the old listeners. And thanks to my partner for another great week. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. We've been Matt and Joe. And until next week, we will see you in the ring.